the silence falls, we'll still be here. In the end of all things, they conquer fear. For when the silence falls, we'll still be here. In the end of all things, we conquer fear. Oh yeah, we will conquer fear. Oh yeah, oh yeah. For when the silence falls, we'll still be here.
Oh, God. Hello, hello, you beautiful, beautiful room monkeys. What are y'all up to? How you doing, Brenda, sis? How you doing? Y'all good? Anyways, so, you know, I don't want to do this for CR, but this was, in my mind and everything, when, survival, you know, food, right? Survival is, very hunger driven thing, right? You know, hunger rules a lot of people. You know what I mean? Just say, good morning to my brother CR. Good morning to Wally. Good morning to Danny. Good morning to Brenda. Good morning to my brother Tryon. I hope all my brothers and sisters are having a good day. But yeah, you know, simple food, simple things that they don't discuss in survival, right? Something like this. It's just, you know, one piece of bacon and potatoes, right? Mm. Well, a lot of people think that, Brenda. A lot of people think just go out in the wild. I'm going to go out in the wilderness with my shotgun and I'm going to be able to hunt and live off the land and blah, blah, blah. Good morning, Freaky. How you doing? In a real survival situation, that's not going to happen. In real hunting, real prepping, stuff like that, you have to wait. You have to wait. You can't. Humans are not built to hunt like other predators. We have to sit and wait and take the perfect shot or wait until the perfect moment to do a sneak attack on something because we're not as strong or as fast or as powerful as, say, a 2-year old buck. Or, you know, we're not as fast or able to climb trees like a squirrel. Mm. You know, that whole drinking piss thing, you gotta love it. Um, that's the thing they never tell you about in survival, right? There's only been a handful of true survival stories where people actually drunk their piss. So, because there's only a handful of survival stories where somebody drunk their piss, right? Now everybody in the damn world is like, oh, yeah, you can drink your pee. It's water. Humans are made out of 80% water, right? But it's the process of drinking water. And you're drinking piss. Process of filtering it to make it water once again. And even when you process your piss to make it drinking water, there's still problems with drinking that water. It doesn't filtrate all of the what am I trying to say? Not like sicknesses and stuff like that, but like like the excreted proteins, um, fats, stuff like that we get rid of our body, the waste of our body. Just because you evaporate your piss and everything and turn it into water, it doesn't mean that it's purified water. It is cleaner than what it once was. Correct, Ryan. Correct. You know, there is there's plenty of stories throughout history. You know, just like the oh, what's his name? Darson. The the Australian scientist and everything that's on the $100 I mean the 100 the Australian $100 pound. You know, he drunk his piss because he didn't have anything else. Even though he was in a completely snow-covered wasteland, he had snow all around him, but he still took the piss route. For some reason, I don't know why it is that humans think go to their pee. I just don't understand it. You know, what makes you what makes humans think going to their urine is going to save them? It is a psychological thing. It is a psychological form of it is a liquid. And if we replenish our liquid with urine, we will quench our thirst. You know, it's safer for a human to drink their own blood than it is to drink their urine. Correct, freaky. The fire distills 90% of stuff if you have a metal container to distill. It's just a process. Even if you're on a deserted island with nothing else, surrounded by seawater, you can still find glass jars. You can still find metal containers that isn't completely rusted out to make you know, a seawater distillery, where you distill the water, burn out the salt, and you know, drink the purified water out of that. It's one of those things. I mean, we as human beings have survived on blood for generations. I mean, oxtail soup, blood soup, you know, there's European recipes that have blood in it. You know, we have thrived on blood because not only does blood quench your thirst, but it also adds nutrients to you. You know, it gives you minerals that you need to survive. You know, copper, iron, you know, stuff like that. I'm not saying, you know, find a roadkill deer and slit its throat and drink from the dead deer. It has to be alive. The blood can't coagulate or anything like that. It has to be fresh. But, you know, but on the other hand, like the Australian explorer, okay, his person, I mean, the person that was with him, the Swedish scientist that was with him on that expedition and everything in Arctic, you know, they had to eat their dogs, okay, and his partner got sick from eating dog livers, okay. I'm not saying that all animals can be consumed or every part of an animal can be consumed because all animals have sicknesses also that we don't know. Uh, correct, freak. But that's the thing, you know, we as humans have been in such a cared for, you know, civilization since, you know, the since the beginning of the century. Correct, Ryan. I mean, look at the first emperor of China. Okay, they had warhounds, but it was also a backup food source for his huge army. I mean, he had over like 13,000 war dogs and horses and everything. And at that time, animals were used for food. Other animals that today's society does not think about eating or touching. It was used by our ancestors on a daily basis. We were eating horses that could not work anymore. We were also making glue out of them. We were making everything out of animals. Animals is what we need. But, you know, we have to look in the past also of what they ate to survive in a true apocalyptic, end of the world, blah, 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 survival situation. Correct. They are resources. Hey, Iron, how you doing, sis? Yeah, you don't want to go and kill, you know, I'm not saying tomorrow go and kill, you know, starbed your horse and go and eat it because it's food. But when push comes to shove and that horse is no longer usable, what is that horse to you now? If that horse cannot be used, what is it to you? It is nothing. It's the same thing with chickens. Once chickens stop producing eggs, what are they used for? They're used for a meat source. Same thing with cows. Even dairy cows, they are still slaughtered and using like dog meat and stuff like that. I'm glad to hear that, sis. I'm glad to hear that. I mean, there was what was it back probably about 10 years ago, 15 years ago, something like that. There was a just a two person. There was a two-person fishing group. Okay, they went out for it was going to be a 30-hour fishing expedition for them, so they could make some money off of somewhere the K- Casio K- Ko Islands in Mexico. Uh, They went, him and his partner and everything. They went out to go fishing. Went to go fishing for sharks because tiger sharks was in the area, and they cost a good. They sell for a good amount of money. They were out there, searching for mahi mahi and stuff like that. 30 hours. It was a quick, simple 30 hour make a few $100s, right? And a storm brewed where they were. When the storm hit and everything, it shut off all their technology. It damaged their engine because they were running on like 30-year-old technology, right? And they were lost at sea for what they say. What did they say? It was like 52 months, something like that. They were it was just them two guys in a boat floating at sea for 52 months. What's up, Derek? How you doing? You know, they were in the ocean. They could not drink seawater because salt water drives you insane. And it's because of the overdose of salt in it. It's not because the water's toxic or anything. It's just because of the over amount of salt that's in the ocean. That's why we can't drink it. But you know, they and this is why I say this is why I tell people that sushi and stuff like that is bad for people long term. You know, we as a society, we as humans are meant to eat raw red meat. This is why they said in the Bible, do not eat, you know, fish of the ocean because not more like bottom feeders and stuff like that. Easier fish to catch. But yeah, after the first 12 months and everything, his partner started getting sick because they were eating raw fish, they were eating raw jellyfish, they were eating raw sea turtles. They were also drinking the blood from these creatures. Right? They were drinking sea turtle blood, they were drinking fish blood to keep up with the hydration, because you need liquid in your stomach to digest food. I'm doing good, brother. I'm doing good. So many cats, so few recipes. Try it. There's an actual Renaissance cookbook on how to cook cats. When there was a time and period in Europe where there was not a single cat to be found because cats were being used in meat pies. Cats' intestines were used to make violin strings. I mean, there's an actual book called 50 Ways to Stew a Cat, and it tells you how to eat cats. It's a horrible book, but it's there. I mean, just like there's a book, 20 famous gourmet recipes on cooking horse meat in France. There's also a cookbook about dog meat. There's a Chinese recipe book. It was around, I think it was the Jin Dynasty. Jin Dynasty. They were talking about how to make dogs into, military food. Yeah. Like, but his partner and everything, they were floating around in a dead boat. for 52 months. And his partner got sick. His partner got sick because of the lack of water. It wasn't because he was drinking blood and eating raw meat. They said that he they said that he died because of he got sicknesses from eating raw turtle meat, which yes, you can get intestinal worms, uh, you can get a lot of things from eating raw turtles. Um, because they are scavengers also. They will eat anything. Um, it's just like, if you go to the, Okefenokee Swamp or any other swamp, and you don't fully 100% cook a turtle, you're going to get sick. Um, but even Les Stroud, he got intestinal worms when he was in the Okefenokee Swamp. And I can tell you that because I did survival in Okefenokee Swamp. Yeah, iron. Yeah, it, it's it's what it is. I mean, to tell you the God's honest truth, I mean, country people had to learn how to survive, and I'm talking about roadkill, and I'm talking about it, leftovers. It's survival isn't what we glorify it as. It's not. We never talk about this stuff. We never talk about the ramifications of survival mindset. There was back in 2019, there was a Australian guy that got trapped in the Sahara Desert. Okay, he was on some kind of like world record running marathon, right? And he was in the Sahara Desert running. He had it, he had a survival pack. He had all this, but he got disoriented from the heat. At that time, they didn't think about putting a satellite tracker on him or have people following him, right? Mm-hmm. Hey, go out. But this guy was physically fit. He was perfect shape, everything. He got trapped in the Sahara Desert, and he got lost because of what they call desert days, and it's from the heat and everything of the desert on you. And he found an abandoned Muslim temple that was like centuries old, and he stayed there. He stayed there for, I think they said it was, how long did he stay there? It was like 3 months or something like that. 3 months he was trapped out there. People sent search and rescues out for him and all this stuff and couldn't find him because he was in the temple, right? And it got to a point where he had a small survival kit. He had, backup water, protein bars, all that bullshit, everything. But he didn't know how to capture anything in the desert. And he got to a point where he didn't want to starve to death. He didn't want to dehydrate to death. Okay? So he slit his wrist with a penknife, okay, that he had in his survival kit. Split both of his wrists. And here's the thing. The heat was so arid and dry that it instantaneously clogged his blood because he did not have enough water in his blood. So the heat clogged him and stopped him from doing suicide. You can't even die when you want to die in a survival situation most of the time. Gear is only, yeah, it's only a part of the, equation. That is true. But, but the thing is you have to know everything, and you cannot plan for everything in a survival situation. Like I said, this guy slit both of his wrists with a knife, and his blood did not have enough water in it to let him die. His blood coagulated and sealed up the wound to where he could not die. And, he ended up eating bats. And it's something about Australians and drinking their own piss. Because he was drinking his own piss also. He was drinking his own piss. He was eating bats that he could get in the Muslim temple. He was licking the morning dew off of sandstone rocks to survive. We glorify, survival. We glorify it to a max extent. All these people coming in here saying, "Oh, I'm going to survive. I'm going to survive. I'm going to survive." You don't know. No, nobody knows how to survive. I'm serious. Y'all need to get this out of your head that you are a one-man army and that you're going to survive on everything. Because here's the thing, you got to wake up, sweetheart. You have to. All of you that think that you're going to go out in the middle of the woods and you're going to survive on your bullshit that you have, or what somebody in their rich ass mansion has wrote a book about, is not going to work for you. It's not. Look at real life situations. Look at real life survival stories that are recorded. Only 1 out of 10 do survive, and they still survive with horrible outcomes. Their bodies do not come back from it. There was a guy in Australia again back, I think it was like 2020. He was riding out in the outback and he saw 2 homeless people and he gave them a ride. Guess what? He was out for 24 months in the outback. He woke up. All he remembered was giving these 2 homeless people a ride, then waking up covered in plastic with dingoes scratching on the plastic, trying to get into him. Then he woke up and he was surviving in the outback for 24 months before he found a wild, a wild farmer ranch or whatever in the outback that saved him. He lost over 100 pounds. He was treated for hyper dehydration, hyper malnutrition, everything. You could see his bones from all the muscle and everything that he lost. He could not eat solid food for almost 3 years. They had to grind his food into a paste so his body could accept it. Yeah. We don't look at that stuff. All these survivors that think this is a game, that think all these people that think survivalism and the end of the world is a game, you're going to die. You are. It doesn't matter how much food or whatever you have, you're going to run out. What happens after you run out? What's your plan after you run out of food? What's your plan when you run out of water? What is up, Wooden Spoon? How you doing? But that's the thing. We don't ever talk about what's really going to happen. We don't. Yeah. I mean, and even if you don't fail it, you still are going to come out hurt. You're not going to be the same person that you went into the survival situation. You're not going to come out as the same person either. You can roast inner pine bark. You can roast inner cedar bark. You know, you can chew on that stuff. It'll save you from dehydration. It'll save you from, from hunger pains, stuff like that. It will coat your stomach in kind of a waxy fluid. But but that's only a temporary thing. You know what I mean? Trying. Everything is temporary. Everything is minute because we have been raised in a civilization where we eat when we want. We don't know how to. We don't know how to ration. We don't know how to. We don't know how to starve. We don't starve anymore. It has. It really has. It really has, brother. Correct time. Temporary is better than nothing. That is true. I mean, going from somebody that's eating 5,000 plus calories a day to eating 120 calories a day. That's a shock to your whole entire body because your body has been programmed to eat X amount of carbs every day. Like this. Like, gravy and biscuits, sausage, stuff like that. You know, we. I can talk about this stuff. It doesn't bother me one bit because I know the ramifications of survival. I know the mental fortitude that you're going to lose in survival. It's not pretty. It's really not pretty. Really the only people that's going to know how to survive is Catholics through Lent and the Jewish. Brian, that's great. Yeah, that's true. Well, it is true. I mean, when you speak the truth, nobody wants to hear it. It goes Same way with anything. You know why mechanics are always told that they're liars and everything? It's because they tell you the straight out truth of what you need. But we, yes, sir. People don't understand that either. People don't understand that you have you have a book. Let's just say, oh my God, let's talk about the SAS book. That motherfucker has never once set foot in American soil. The person that wrote the SAS book tells you only about where he's been. He does not tell you about every biome in the world. And even when he talks about plants, most of them are in South America, Africa, or in European countries. Take care, Iron Sis. Thanks for coming by. Nobody ever talks about real biome food sources. They give you the basic. Yeah, cattails. Oh yeah, they grow around everywhere, don't they? You know, in Texas, you cannot find cattails anywhere because cattails only grow in natural water resources. They do not grow in man-made lakes or man-made water sources. That's why when you go to a lake that's been made by a man, you don't see any true natural resources growing around it. Unlike if you go to a real natural lake, then you can see natural resources around. They don't tell you that in the SAS book, now do they? No, they don't. There's any place that has human runoff or anything like that, your likelihood of finding resources is half by 70%. I mean, not half, but it's cut down by 70%. Sorry, everybody, I'm driving. Give me 1 minute. Anything that man touches kills nature. Yeah, I know, brother. It happens all the time. It happens all the time. People killing themselves because they believe they are quote unquote naturalists. That they can kill any kind of wild berry or, you know, wild plant. I hate that. there's a difference between being confident and being stupid. There is. If you have to rely on a book to survive, if you have to rely on myths and 100-year-old techniques, you're dead. In this world, you are dead. Because 100-year-old techniques, 100-year-old thoughts, 100-year-old techniques, I think I said that already. But a 100-year-old mindset was made 100 years ago. You know how much this world has changed in 100 years? No, we don't have samples, but uh, we have prickly pear. We have prickly pear. Hey, Charlie sis. Mwah. Hey, Vanessa sis. Mwah. You know, I mean, probably in North Texas we do, but not in South Texas. Well, not in San Antonio area. We may have it in North and we may have it in South Texas, but not near San Antonio, not near Houston and stuff like that. Like, do not rely on a book. See, I love you. You know I do. But, you know, CR is the one with all the techniques and all this, you know, this fun stuff, you know. CR's, CR is our good younger brother. But if the end of the world happened, I would save CR. I'm sorry, but out of everybody in the chat and everything, I would save CR first. I love you all, but oh yeah, oh yeah, you're trying. I've heard about sand plums. I just like I'll tell you right now, I'm not 100% on everything in this one. Trust me, there is too much in this world for one person to keep memory of. You know what I mean? And I'll never admit that I am a 100% know everything. No, I know only what I need to know. I may remember a lot of stories and stuff like that, but I can't tell you the names of these people. I can't tell you. I can just tell you what happened in it. It's what happens when you read, you know, when you read the beginning of the story and the end of the story, you don't care about anything else, right? Ooh, that sounds good, trying, brother. I love a good jam. It doesn't matter what it is. But we You you think you're going to survive, you need to know how to be an actual predator. You do. Right, CR, you do. I mean, in survival, I hate saying it, but it is you that is going to survive. If you're a person that thinks you're going to have a huge compound and people working with you and all y'all holding hands singing kumbaya to make a garden grow, you're living a dream. You are living an absolute fantasy. Correct. Correct, Ryan. You know how many carcasses are going to be butchered by basic Tom Joe down the street because he bought a gun before the end of the world and now he thinks he's a hunter? Because what do hunters usually take from deer? Hindquarters and backstraps. They leave everything else. They leave all that other. It's going to be worse than the expansion of the West with the railroad, where they piled countless buffalo into mountains and wasted the meat, wasted the fur, everything. They just let it sit there and rot. That's what's going to really happen in the end of the world. You get all these people that have no hunting skills, no nothing, and they're going to leave tattered and ripped up bodies on the floor, rotting away, and not use every single part of the animal. They're going to take what they want, and that's it. When people hear that there's not going to be any more food, when people hear that there's not going to be any more water, they take matters into their own hands. And when they take matters into their own hands, that's when chaos ensues. Correct, CR. Leftovers will attract predators. Mountain lions. You will start seeing wild animals running rampant. Especially especially when humans start killing each other. When humans start killing each other and there's human bodies littering, like literally littering the street, look what happens. Diseases are going to happen. Sicknesses are going to happen. Wild animals are going to start feasting on human flesh and going back to their feral state, like it was 1,000 years ago when animals did not care about humans and did not fear humans. Correct, Ryan? Correct. But, in a survival situation and everything, you're going to be using those bones. You're going to be using the intestines, using every part of that deer or whatever animal that you ate and, captured. It's it's going to be at that yeah, rodents. I mean, you will get everything. And then you get what comes after the wild animals and everything. You're going to get their feces, you're going to get their urine, you're going to get all their sicknesses that they have because it's deteriorating where you are. It ain't some beautiful, the end of the world ain't going to be some beautiful, post apocalyptic where weeds are growing over buildings and like, what was it? I am legend kind of BS. It ain't going to be like that. Yeah. But the thing is use resources and resupply. But the thing is you're going to be in an area where there's eyes. There's going to be eyes that you do not see. And when they see you loading up whatever, you're a target. They will follow you back. You're going to have to be protected. You're going to have to protect yourself. Correct, Ryan. Correct. Why do you think 100 years ago we made things to survive? We made things to last, unlike today. Because it took longer to get resources 100 years ago than it does today. It takes longer to resupply stuff 300 years ago than it does today. It's a give and take society. And when survival or apocalypse or whatever you want to call it happens, if it happens, well, there was also problems in the old ways. See, we always say go back to the old ways, but we don't see the truth in what was going on in the old ways. Correct, Charlie. Correct. Barter is going to be the main thing in a survival situation, in a old scenario. Barter is going to be your best friend. So you need to know how to barter. Correct, Ryan? And guess what? You don't need gun lessons or anything to get shotguns. You can walk in, you could be, you could walk in and get a shotgun right off the shelf. That's good, Charlie. That's good, Somebody that's got skills like that will be a godsend. Somebody like you with natural medicines that know natural herbs and remedies is going to be a godsend to a small community, if there is one. You can trade your solves, your solves, your painkillers, stuff like that, for whatever. If you learn how to make a wild lettuce salve, you could make you'll get whatever you want for a wild lettuce salve. Correct, Charlie. And see, that's what I'm saying. old ways is what Charlie just said. It's a process and work. And that's why we have evolved, because of how long it takes. If you want to make a wild lettuce salve and you want to make it in a mass quantity, it takes about 3 months for a wild lettuce salve to be ready for use in a mass quantity. Nice try, nice. Oh yeah, yeah. It's a double-bladed knife. It's a double-bladed knife, brother. It's a mental mindset they scare. But the thing is the old ways compared to the way the world is now isn't humane. I mean, just look how long it takes to piss bleach a leather hide. Look how long it takes for a sheepskin to be tanned and ready to be made the old traditional ways, like putting it in a peat bog. When you put a sheep hide in a peat bog, it has to sit there for 6 months. You know how long 6 months is before you can make something ready, like clothing or a backpack or hell, a water bladder. 6 months just for the beginning stage of the tanning process. Yep, that is true, Tron. But the sad thing is in a real end of the world, when there is no FEMA or anything, even the city folk will become feral. Look at Pompeii before it got destroyed. Just look at it. I mean, look at the true events that happened in Pompeii. The rich were stealing from everybody because they thought, we'll survive, we're rich, we'll live in our houses and everything. They were stealing from each other. They were killing each other before Pompeii even exploded. It was complete and utter chaos for those people. And then in an instant, they were dead. Not in an instant, but more like 5 or 10 minutes of like incendiary hell. And that's the same thing that's what's going to happen if and when Old Faithful does erupt. If it erupts, they said we will go into another ice age, a complete blackout. It won't hit everybody. It won't hit. They said it will cover 9% of the United States and like 15-20% of Canada, something like that, with a complete blackout. And they said for like 50 years. Correct, CR. Correct, brother. people fear, like, people fear these quote unquote world ending events that have only a small probability chance to happen. Like Dante's Inferno or Dante's Peak or whatever the hell that mountain, that, volcano was that went up. It only affected that town. But they said, oh, when this erupts and everything, it's going to destroy half the world. Right, man. Right, brother. That's what I'm saying. Things like 100 years ago were made to last because people could not afford it. So when they did buy it, it was meant to last for them. But the process in making that high quality of an item, there is no master smith anymore. There is no master, people don't care about it because it's all machine made to a qualifying extent. So they can make 500 of them in 24 hours. Unlike 80 years ago, you would have to wait 2 months for that one spade or hoe or, axe to be made and forged properly. Yes. That's why antiques are sold for the prices that they are. I remember 20 years ago, you could buy a 150-pound anvil for like $20 at scrapyard until blacksmithing became a hobby. And now anvils go for $1 a pound. So if you buy a 150-pound anvil, you're paying $150 or more, depending on its age. What's up, Eli? We only had limited materials back then because we could only mine so much. We could only get so much without people dying. Unlike today, now we have machines that can level off a mountaintop in 24 hours. And we can get in. We have machines that can cut through a 10,000 plus pound slab of marble like it's a hot knife through butter. We have evolved for the majority of the world. 100 years ago, the population was half the size as it is today. Yeah, Danny. Yeah. All you need. Well, it was like that out here in Texas. You could walk up on an abandoned farm and everything in Texas and find God knows whatever. But now that there's so many people that are going to these farms, being antique hunters to go and flip it on Amazon or eBay or whatever to make a dime, it ruins everything. It ruins the value of everything. You used to be able to go to the scrapyard and buy a railroad iron, you know? And I remember I could go to the scrapyard 5 years ago and buy railroad spikes for a penny a piece. And now I can't do that because so many people has been buying those and selling them to blacksmiths and everything. And now the railroad, if they see that it's an actual stamped railroad spike, they will sue you for it. It's easily disposable, but it's so cheap. That's the thing. It's cheap, disposable, and replaceable. Hell, my dad still has a color TV from 1978 that still works. One of the first color TVs from 1978, and it still plays. It still picks up signal. It still does everything. It's never been replaced. I literally had to replace my wife's TV that we bought 3 months ago because it short circuited. Resellers have killed everything. Merry Christmas to you too, Eli, brother. We will never go back to the past. Right, Danny, right. We will never go back to the past. We won't. Because it's so much easier working with circuitry and all this stuff than it is making something that's actually going to last and work. You know why? Is because companies want money. Back then, companies didn't care about overhead. They didn't have to pay every one of their CEOs or managers a yearly bonus. They didn't have to put in money into their stock market. They didn't have to do all this other BS that they do today. It was going straight to the person's, pocket. But now everything has to have money. Look at what's $300 times 1,000? CR, what is 300 times 1,000, sir? Right. See, this is why everything is replaceable. $300 times 1,000 people. 1,000 people buy one TV for $300. 1/3 of $1,000,000 right there in their pocket. That's $300. And people spend that every week. Every week. Yeah. Yeah, 300 times 1,000. Yeah. It's. I'm just trying to prove a point that back then companies made stuff to last because they knew if they made things to last, and something lasted 5 years, and then it breaks. Then we come back to that. Okay, 30K. Yeah. Oh shit. Yeah. It's money rules everything nowadays. That's why the old ways are no more. That's why the old mentality is no more. Right, Charlie. There is no more Maytag repairman. There is no more TV repairman. There is no more, you know, refrigerator repairman. There is no more AC repairman. Hell, it's cheaper. It's cheaper to buy a new HVAC system than have somebody come out to try to replace your 20-year-old HVAC. It's when it becomes cheaper to just buy new than paying to keep it going. That's the way the world is meant to think anymore. That's why you see so many fucking different survival kits all the time. Every year there's a new survival kit. Every 6 months there's a new knife. Every 6 months there's new this or that. Yes. Society is built on the cheap. Well, it was just like during the revolution. I mean, not the crap. What is that time period called in Europe? Industrial age of of Europe, when you could buy 2 meat pies for what, 5 shillings, something like that, 5 pence. 2 meat pies for 5 pence. I remember seeing those signs. Like, because it was the first form of fast food. Yeah, CR. When the industrial age happened, that changed the world. When we knew we could create multiple things through a machine, it's just like, why do you think every old household had a sewing machine? Because it was quicker and it was easier to repair clothing or hem a skirt or hem some pants with a sewing machine than it was by hand. No more poking your fingers, no more whatever. It's easier, it's quicker. You can make a whole entire dress in an hour. Unlike 5 days from hand sewing. And especially when it became a foot pedal, when it was so much easier with a foot pedal than electricity. That's the same thing with fire. That's the same thing with any other survival thing. Why do I need to rub two sticks together to make a fire? Why do I need to make a bow drill to make a fire? Hell, what is it called? Potassium sulfate, the instant fire that was a liquid form that everybody in the world had during the Industrial Revolution. Yeah, I don't know what they are. But the thing is what I'm talking about is the reason why we evolved. The reason why we don't care about the past anymore. Yes, that's it. Thank you, CR. You know, liquid fire. You dipped a piece of wood or a piece of paper in it, pull it out, hits air, boom. Instant fire. That fucking saved everybody from having to hit one steel together to create this in the middle of winter. Then we went from that to matches because it was considered too dangerous because somebody lost their daughter because their daughter played with it and popped themselves on fire. Yeah. Yeah. And cheaper cotton. Don't remember that. Don't forget about that. Because remember, the South was the biggest supply of cotton to Europe. We sold it for dirt cheap. Everybody was buying cotton from us because we could maximize and sell a lot for cheap. All right, fam, I gotta get out of here. My phone is about to die. I have T-minus 9% on my phone. But I love you people. I think after I get out of Sam's, I'm gonna charge my phone. We'll do a survival live stream. How about that? Instead of just me fucking talking bullshit. We'll actually do a survival live stream today. Take my tent out, take my hammock, set it up. You know, actually do real survival. Quote unquote real. How about that? Love y'all. Always, Charlie, sis. I love you, family. Y'all take care. I'm gonna charge this phone. Then we'll go out into the woods. There we go. Christmas turkey. All right, I love you, family. Y'all take care. See y'all